Welcome to the Dr. Leadership Podcast, where the DR stands for Driving Results. Our focus is weekly conversations around life and business relationships and the important leadership qualities for both. These concepts and qualities will help you drive positive results in both your business and personal lives. A weekly connection point to help business leaders develop individual contributors, managers, and executives on your teams. We also will tie in concepts around family focus and life lessons to help you drive success in your personal life. Welcome to the Dr. Leadership Show. Let's get after it. Hey, good day, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the Dr. Leadership Podcast. The doctor is in. I just want everybody to know I got buttons. I don't always use them, but I got buttons. Today is actually, I'm recording this the day before the 4th of July. The America Freedom Day. So I hope you had an awesome 4th of July. Very, very special holiday. America's awesome. Don't let anybody tell you any different. The haters can just keep on hating. But today I want to jump in and talk about a topic that many people struggle with, and a lot is going on today. And I want to talk about leading through adversity and challenges and just in the environment of today. But first, real quick review on last week's episode. Remember, it was about adjust your surroundings. And I'm tying in this adversity thing. I've got no articles this week. I've got no reference points this week. This is coming from my heart and a little bit of angst, a little bit of powder in my keg here on some things in the world. And adjust your surroundings was about making sure the right environment is around you. Make sure the right people are in your tribe. Make sure that the right motivators, the right people inspirationally are around you. Get rid of the bad things in your life that bring you down. And as leaders and as individual contributors and as family people and as neighbors, remember, you're part of other people's surroundings. So this is about accountability to yourself. Specifically this episode about when you're handling adversity, when you're handling challenges. And I'm going to get into those in a second. Another shout out and reminder. We've got great content out on the membership site, $5 a month. Had a couple people join this week. Thank you very much. It keeps climbing up. We have Commander Kirk Lippold. Part 1 and Part 2 are up there right now. On the USS Cole attack by Al-Qaeda back in 2000. That was really the precursor to 9/11. If you ever think about it, the Cole event happened on 10/12 of 2000 and 9/11 of 2001. 9, 10, 11, 12. See how that works? Al-Qaeda is a sneaky little bunch of bastages that think about those types of things. But he goes through his early life in Part 1, some of the other terrorist activities he was involved with, the bombing in Beirut of the Marine base, the bombing of the embassy, 240-odd Marines killed, close calls out in the Gulf as we were defending freedom, taking on Libya, Gaddafi as he set up the no-fly zone, etc. Saw a lot of heated battle, this man. And he tells the story about the USS Cole and how he saved, with the help of the heroes on the ship, the men and women on that ship got their hurt and killed casualties out of the wreckage area, and then saved the ship over the coming days. And the exit of the port of Aden in Yemen is a great finish to the story. You got to go out and check it out and give it a listen. If you don't like the content, cancel your membership. It's quick and easy. Go to the website. It's www.drleadershipresults.com. Click on subscriptions and sign yourself up. All sorts of great interviews out there. Got another big one of a major Fortune 500 retailer president coming on. Got the CEO of a major franchise organization coming on here, world-renowned international locations inside of Europe, Russia, Asia, South America, and 250 locations in North America. He'll be joining the show here in the coming weeks. Good stuff out there. It's great content from other people other than the doctor, or as the DR, remember, is for driving results. I just say to have some fun with this. I want to thank everybody for positive reviews, too. Out on the Apple reviews, we're sitting at 4.8 out of 5. And I just want to talk to that first guy when I did my first episode. that gave me a 1 star and said nothing you can't find on Google. I think it's some guy whose girlfriend I stole in high school. I mean, it's got to be, right? It can't be the reality of a 1 star. You're bringing my rating down, fella. But thanks for the positive reviews out there. If you like the show, go out and give it a review. If you've got positive or constructive feedback, send us an email at drleadershipresults@gmail.com. Engage with us. We'd like to hear from you. So back to today's, let's discuss this adversity in life and in business that we're facing today. Let's discuss the difficult times we're actually in. There's a number of things. Subject to popular belief, the economy's in the crapper. We've been on the edge. We were officially in a recession 18 months ago. You have 2 quarters of declining GDP. It's officially a recession unless your team's not in office, or your team's in office, I should say. We have inflation still holding on. The markets are, listen to this. Look this stat up. So the markets are important for everybody. We talk about financial freedom. We talk about saving money. We talk about being a leader of your family's future. The markets are net zero gains for the last 2.5 years. 2.5 years ago, 36.6 was the high on the Dow. It's a 34.3 as of this morning. Is not even net gained a point. NASDAQ close, a little bit of gain here and there. You can find some markets that got a little bit, but for 2.5 weeks, touting all these jobs that have been created, they all just came back from COVID. Everybody's playing it, and this is both sides do this. I'm not picking a team here at all, but the markets aren't good. Those seeking employment are at all new time level lows, right? Those that are actually going into the unemployment number. Unemployment number's a good number. If 4%, woo, that's amazing. Yeah, but you got 11 million people that aren't even looking for unemployment anymore. You put that back in the math, and it goes up to 6.5%, 7.5%. It's not good. Cost of homes out of touch for many people in the middle class. It's because interest rates are higher than they've been in 20-odd years. The middle class can't afford to get a home in a lot of places. It's unbelievable. You got to make $100,000 a year to get the average home price of $360,000 right now in the United States. That's despicable. The blue-collar middle class, wow, tough times. So how as leaders and contributors and parents and neighbors do we tackle all this adversity? Because this is hitting us in our personal lives. This is hitting us on our business lives. It's hitting our neighbors. I mean, millions of people are really struggling right now. First of all, let's talk about business for a second. Every year, doesn't matter what business you're in, every year more is asked of us. And that's a normal trend. However, what I see lately, what's going on right now, our leaders are making bad decisions. They're making bad decisions on how to inspire the growth and how to lead the locker room. When you've got attitude in the dumper, as leaders, we need to be very focused on our people. The psychology of leadership comes into play more now than ever. And we've got some people that really struggle in all businesses all around me. I see it in my neighborhoods. I see it on TV, the news, if you can stomach it, just makes you sick every time you turn on the news, what's going on in the world. But we've got a lot of leaders that are just really crappy at relationship building, on getting the locker room to be behind them. What we've seen lately in all the recent news, consistent cutting of jobs to reach earning goals. There are leaders out there that focus on one cell on the P&L, SG&A or OI, 2 cells, okay, and say, we have to cut something to improve that number. I am a sales leader that believes in let's look at the top of the P&L statement, the profit and loss statement, and affect results via inspiration, via motivation, via land grab of your competitors, via writing more business, being out there and bringing down big deals. You pour good margin, good deals in there. As an individual contributor, you go out and you find good business results that maximize your compensation plan. See, individual contributors don't get a cut and cut and cut. The mortgage is due on the 15th, man. The light bill's due on the 1st. Property taxes are due twice a year. They don't get to cut any of that. They got to take it on. So we got to inspire. Walgreens last week announced they're closing 450 stores. They had actually announced it yesterday, so when I say last week, it's this week because that was Sunday. They're cutting 450 stores. Now, they've got 9,000 of them. It's 5%, right? But 5% of their stores over the next 12 months. Earnings dropped by 50% year over year. Now, the earnings last year, and this is what you got to be careful of as business leaders and individual contributors. And this is just like the government saying all these jobs that have been created. When you're coming out of a low point, pandemic, and the results start to normalize back, supply chain turned back on, Walgreens, millions and millions and millions of COVID shots coming through that the government's funding, high margin, right? 50, 60% margin, all that stopped. When you were grading yourself on a growth expectation, or you're grading yourself on what you think the team should be able to do now on something that was pent-up demand or false reality of what was driving the results in the past, you're destined for failure. You're destined for disappointment. The other thing that's hit Walgreens and all retailers is hundreds of millions of dollars, billions of dollars for some of them. Target said over $1 billion in theft. Crime's no longer, deterred in this country, but celebrated as if it's some sort of martyrism. It's shameful. It's shameful. From a community standpoint, how our leaders in D.C. and around our local governments are normalizing crime. Well, it's because times are tough. Do something about the tough times. Take control of the environment. Start to inspire, create jobs. Where are all the bridges being built from the restructuring and for the I'm drawing a blank on the word, the infrastructure bill? I don't see anything happening on that stuff. What's going on at airports? Turn some of these things on. I digress. People are pulling inwards, society-wise, since they don't feel they can trust anyone or anything any longer. They are just, there's bad news everywhere. They're finding out that people are lying and cheating and stealing and not being held accountable. This is all of our government, both sides of the aisle, all over the world. The WHO lied. The Chinese lied. We know where COVID now came from. The shots didn't work. It was falsified. All this different stuff. The news is bad, bad, bad. Interest rates are up. The market isn't going anywhere. And meanwhile, me as the boss is demanding that you sell more this year. You do better this year. Just figure it out. Come on, man. It's easy from where I sit. That's not leadership. So the top thing to do right now with your people, with your family, with your neighbors, with your communities, is to start building some trust back up. Trust that your employees feel towards leadership. You can't inspire growth if your people think you don't care. If all they have seen is cuts and reductions in real earnings, that's their paychecks, you will not see them engage and fight for the company or themselves. People want a purpose. They want to believe in something. Because of everything that's happened to all of our businesses over the last several years, through COVID, through the economic disasters, through wars, and through just disastrous things. What's going on at the border has got everybody bummed out. Millions and millions and millions of dollars. The debt's out of control. We need leadership in our businesses, our communities, and our government. This is adversity, and we don't necessarily have all the right people out there doing the right things. It's all about the money in the government, their own pocketbooks. Put term limits, don't let them trade on the markets, freeze them out, hold them accountable. Tell you what, if there isn't a balanced budget, there is no raise for congressional senators, state legislators. This is real easy, man. Hold them accountable like you have to be held accountable to. Bills are due on the 1st, man. If all they've seen is those cuts and reductions, it's going to be tough. They want a purpose. Are we as leaders making decisions on new directions without the people's input, who you all asked to drive the results? Are you making a decision going, this is the transformation we're taking? Damn it. And I don't care what people say. Well, if you're counting on hundreds of people or thousands of people to drive that transformation, you better care. You better build trust with them to handle this adversity and to see the vision that you see. It's one thing to have a vision. It's another thing if it's a bad dream for the rest of the people that are going to be held accountable to drive it. As a leader, do you speak of big transformational visions and don't even know if they can be operationalized? This is another one that I see all the time. We're going to go to the moon. Yeah, we don't even know how to build a rocket yet. Or we don't have the ability to get it home. Our systems don't allow us to fuel something to go to the moon. I'm making up arbitrary examples here, but are you evaluating what could go wrong with your ideas? Are you sitting back and taking a true look at what ifs? Okay, if we do this, what are the outcomes of that? Is it inspiring? Is it motivating? Is it leading to our end goal? Does it have enough time to work? Do we have enough resources to make it work? Do we have the appropriate compensation plan or service plan or engagement strategy or model, territory coverage, whatever it might be, if you're a leader in sales or operations or services, if you're a leader in the family? If you expect A's out of Jimmy and Jimmy's never gotten anything but C's, have you empowered Jimmy with inspiration, a tutor, the resources there? Have you gotten Jimmy's ADHD under control? Have you gotten Jimmy's intolerance for work ethic in the right spot? If you haven't done some of these things, then your expectations are not going to be met. Again, arbitrary examples. Trying to bring personal things, business things, family things all together. All good leaders, we need to know the what ifs. Remember the episode on the podcast here a while back, Why Risk It? When you're making transformational changes and you're trying to drive a big movement inside your organization because, damn it, the world's a different place. What we need to do is we need to turn the ship the exact opposite direction and go. Will the change actually have a diminishing return? Maybe in the long run it has a good return, but what are the actions going to spit out in this year? Is it a 3-year plan to turn the ship? Big ship, small ship? I don't know. Is your company a little speedboat and you can turn it around in a millisecond? Or is it a Fortune 1000 company with thousands of employees and you're trying to find where this market's going? I mean, let's face it, AI is going to have all of our jobs in a few years, right? I don't know. But are we doing the plan that is needed? Are we looking at the horizon? Are we looking at the horizon and judging the hood of the car? In other words, have we set a transformational goal up, but hey, we're 2 months into the year and the results aren't there. What in the hell's going on? The people must be bad. Jesus. When we are leaders of or individuals, when we make changes and things don't go as planned, adversity sets in and people handle this differently. And this is what I want to talk about. This is really the meat of this thing. Are you one of the leaders or one of the individual contributors or a family leader, a parent, a mother, a father? Are you one that circles the team? And hey, we're going to make some adjustments. We're going to reinvest. Where you cut, maybe we cut before, now you realize we can't make it happen because of what we did before. Hey, the report looked good for the P&L, but we can't operationalize without more people, without more resources, without more training, without more insert item here. Ask for feedback as a leader. Think of Division I coaches. Any sport, I like football. I like college football, so we're going to talk about that. You ever seen a football team just come out, it's supposed to be a good game, or they might be favored, and they just get their asses handed to them in the first half? We've all seen it. It's happened to our teams. We've done it to other teams. You can be on both sides of that. You come out first half, you're roaring. I remember University of Iowa basketball back in the 80s. UNLV was one of the top 2 or 3 ranked teams in the country. We're in March Madness. We go out, we take a 21-point lead at halftime, and we get beat by like 7. Talk about a letdown. But let's say it's the inverse of that. Has your team ever gotten their tailpipe handed to them in the first half and then come out and dominate in the second to a victory? Those are good leaders. You have to be able to raise your hand and say, we made a mistake. I made a mistake with the game plan. What I was trying to do has created a diminishing return. A what if has shown up. And now I have to be accountable. I have to be able to raise my hand and say, I made a mistake with the game plan. As Mike Tyson said it best, everyone has a great plan until you get punched in the mouth. Then you got to change your plan, man. Some leaders take a terrible approach and start to attack people and blame execution and blame others. They'll even insert that, people are saying things, or even distance themselves and say it wasn't their idea, or others agreed to the plan, they just aren't executing on it. The same people that made it happen the year before suddenly are stupid or suddenly bad? Read the room. We've got to be able to look around and see what the reality is. The ability to adjust as an individual is important too. Is your plan not garnering the personal results? Are you not at where you want to be? Has the New Year's resolution that we talked about, again, never set a time to start something, set a time to achieve something. I hate New Year's resolutions. But if you set something up that's not coming to fruition, tack the ship. Change the direction. Make an adjustment. Sometimes handling adversity requires honesty. Not sometimes. Always. Some leaders might say something like, we're going to do it, no excuses. Well, sometimes honesty is what is needed. Sometimes it's like, we can't do what you have developed as the plan and garner those results. And here's why. From those that are actually fighting the fight. Situation A, situation B, situation C, situation D have negative headwinds against the goal or objective. So until we can adjust how we can operationalize it, that vision isn't going to come true. Sometimes you don't know what you don't know when you're setting a vision. Yeah, I think we can do that. And all of a sudden around the bend comes a Mike Tyson punch in the face. Boom. God, we didn't think of that. I am guilty of that. I certainly don't have all the right answers. A realignment, a reinvestment, a concentration on morale, an approach dedicated to building personal relationships versus saying something about the damn P&L. Don't go right to the result. Look at what is driving the result. Is our environment not safe? Is our environment not inspiring? Is our environment not compensating correctly? Is our environment not allowing the training and the development that is needed to transform? Nothing like, hey, we want to be a completely different company, but we can't afford to train anybody. Well, how in the hell is that going to work? I'm going to be 180 pounds instead of 240 pounds come this Christmas. What are you investing in the training? What is your plan? Have you joined a gym? Have you adjusted your diet? Have you adjusted your eating habits? Have you adjusted the amount of calories you intake and how many you burn in a day? If you haven't done those things, it ain't going to happen. Same thing with a business. If you want to transform, you have to start with the people you're asking to transform first. You got to transform them. That's empower them. That's train them. That's invest in them. Remember, the P&L or the results are an output of the following: morale, strategy, agility, operational abilities, and execution. If you don't have any one of those working, the objective will not be met. You can control putting morale out there in a positive manner. The strategy can be great, but if you can't execute, doesn't matter, man. could be the best idea ever. We want to go to the moon. Yeah, we don't have any hydrogen to make the fuel. Huh. Great strategy. Execution is impossible. If something doesn't work right away, do you have the agility as a company or an individual to understand you need to make slight changes, tack the ship? If you don't, it's not going to happen. If you've got shitty morale, you can have a great strategy. You can even have decent execution, but if the people just hate it all the time, you're going to lose them. Then you're going to start with fresh people that don't know the business or don't know the company, don't understand the strategy, don't know how to go to market with your company. Got to have all of them. Operational abilities. Can the company or can our family actually support what we say is the means to the goal? Can we operationalize it? Realignment of how you go to market. Does that work? Can it work? Hey, great idea if you were starting from scratch, you can build it there, but we may have hundreds of employees that aren't in the right type of position, mind frame, compensation approach. There's lots of things there. Can you operationalize saving money in your family? Are your debts too high to start saving money? Then you can't operationalize saving money yet. You have to change your debt to income ratio. Can you get along with your neighbors? Well, I don't mow in between his driveway and mine because I just don't like him. Mow in between. Maybe he'll mow it next time. Meet him halfway. Work on morale. If any of those aren't, morale, strategy, agility, operational abilities, and execution, if they aren't in play, you're not going to hit it. Don't be a narcissist. This is the one that just chaps my hide. As a leader, be able to say you've made a mistake. Be able to be not called out, but pointed out that something you were thinking wasn't maybe right. We've talked about this a lot, how leading meetings. Come in and be vulnerable. I don't have the answers. Tell me what you think. You have to be able to say you can make a mistake. Making adjustments is the sign of business maturity. Show your people respect, and God, don't be condescending. Don't start attacking people. Don't start blaming others. We're all in this together. Don't do this to your staff and to your company. Your company is only as strong as the will of the people that make it, that make up the company. If you lose them mentally, if you as a leader lose the locker room, you will not come out in the second half and overachieve and win the game. There's a lot of headwinds in life today. There's a lot of adversity out in the world. There's a lot of challenges on hitting objectives. There's a lot being asked of individuals, more than ever before. We got to do 150% of last year with 75% of the staff. We aren't going to increase pay, but we need you to do it. Those are tough asks. As an organization, concentrate, and as a business leader, concentrate on how do you inspire and motivate to put more into the top levels of a P&L to spit out the bottom level results. Let's talk about SG&A for a second. Maybe you don't understand this. I operate P&Ls. I've done this for a long time. Sales, general, and administrative expenses is SG&A. And what that is that's what it costs you to run the business. That's commissions, that's fixed income such as salaries, that's benefits, that's travel and expense. And you have a SG&A percent to revenue. So that's, if it's $1 million into $2 million worth of revenue, then your SG&A is 50%. Way too high. You don't want it there. But let's say your goal is 15%. You're measuring that 15% goal against assuming you're going to hit the top line revenue. If you don't have pumped up people, if you don't have inspired people, if you don't have people that are motivated and are in to win for you, if you don't have the locker room and you miss the top line revenue by 10%, doesn't matter if your SG&A is 15%, if that was the goal of the top line, if you haven't put enough up top, because guess what? The money the company makes, the operating income, is dependent on the top line being met first, with the margin in that top line. So you've got to concentrate as leaders in life and leaders in your homestead and leaders in your neighborhood to impact the results going in. Positivity, revenue, margin in life. You have to be a good neighbor first for a good neighbor to come back at you. You got to be concentrating on what's going in to the overall punch out of what comes out as the result. As a leader, concentrate on making good decisions that inspire and motivate and have the locker room with you. Raise your hand if a plan isn't working. Be willing to lean in and fall on a sword and say, my bad. Don't be a narcissist. Don't be somebody that's condescending. Don't be somebody that has two personalities, bipolar type approaches. If something's going good, they're all happy. If something goes bad, they turn into the tyrant. I've worked for all types of leaders. Those that inspire and have your back and are not interested in their own advertising to those above are the best leaders I've ever had. Those that are interested in only them being seen as awesome are terrible leaders. Don't be that kind of leader. So through this adversity, inspire, motivate, get the locker room. The reason is all those people on your team are awesome. Let them keep that shit up. Talk next week.